I was doing a lot of flips. Some of them I was doing in 24 hours, 100% financed. I didn't put any money in. I didn't have any money.
All right, so already I'm going to apologize because I know this video is going to offend some people, but it is what it is. I had a couple of conversations with some people recently too. One a friend, one a client. Client and I got into a conversation about Dave Ramsey. I told them I own 8 properties and I have about $2 million in debt on those properties. Now, I am perfectly comfortable with the debt that I have, but he started explaining to me that my approach was completely wrong, that I was taking on way too much risk, and that if you listen to Dave Ramsey, you would know that that's just too much risk for any person to take, and there's not the right way to grow wealthy. Well, that is complete nonsense. In fact, most people who are Dave Ramsey followers don't even know his true story about why he went bankrupt. I'm going to show you in Dave's own words that that's BS. So at the end of this video, you tell me if you think Dave Ramsey is being completely transparent when he tells his people what they should or should not do with regard to wealth. So let's hear the first video.
I was doing a lot of flips, and some of them I was doing in 24 hours. I would just buy them and flip them to another investor and make 10 grand and keep walking, that kind of stuff. So, but I was doing 100% financed. I didn't put any money in it. Not a dime. I didn't have.
You catch that? 100% financed. He didn't put any of his own money into the deal. He was doing 100% of bank money. You're telling me that's not already a lot more risk? Let's keep going.
And I talked him into doing it again. Then I talked him into doing it again. Then I talked him into doing $1 million too, and with that one bank. And yeah, so it set me up. And so after I crashed, I kind of had to go through a CSI, an autopsy, and go, okay, why did the patient die?
And he's flipping homes. Everybody should know by now that flipping can make you very wealthy, as it did Dave. And then when the market turns, it can make you broke. That is the risk of flipping. But he doesn't tell his followers that. His followers just think that all debt is bad debt. And he doesn't correct them and explain that there are different types of debt. Listen to the kind of debt Dave actually utilized.
If people do utilize debt in an effective way, such as Graham, he's very responsible, very well researched on the markets and how he can leverage his money with debt. Do you think that that is a more effective way to grow fast if you're calculated with it?
It is a more effective way to grow fast if that's your goal.
Which, by the way, of course, that's my goal, right? Whose goal is to grow slow and waste time and take 40 years? Of course you want to grow fast.
But what people leave out of the discussion is that you've increased your risk exponentially. More debt equals more risk, period. And so, after I went broke, I had to analyze and go, okay, what went wrong here? And because I had never lost money on a flip. I was not behind on the notes. They just called them. They had the ability to do that because it was commercial paper. It wasn't traditional mortgages. It was 90-day paper.
Let's get real for a second. He had commercial debt, which had the ability to be called due. Traditional mortgages don't have that same feature where they can be called due just for any old reason. Also, 90 days. Does he tell that to his listeners? He was taking on debt that had to be paid back in 90 days, 100% financing. And he went back and did some autopsy on what went wrong, and he thought all debt was bad because of that. Like, come on, let's just be real for a second. Traditional mortgages have 30 years that they give you to pay it back. And you only have to pay monthly payments. It's a fixed payment that does not change as long as you get a fixed interest. There is a load of difference between a commercial 90-day loan versus a 30-year traditional fixed loan. Why doesn't he explain that to his listeners? Because it doesn't fit his narrative. So here's the second thing that I learned about Dave Ramsey. And this one was funny because I've seen him do this on numerous times. Let's listen to George Campbell and how he explains what he does when he has to talk to someone about changing their financial outlook.
And so usually what I do is whatever their energy is, I will go like a whole nother route. So if they're coming at it mathematically, I'll go emotionally. If they're coming at me emotionally, I'll go mathematically. because trying to match their energy normally isn't going to help. If you want to be a math nerd and tell me about how you're going to keep your debt, I'm going to talk about living a peaceful life.
Now, this is funny. I don't know if he even realizes what he's admitting here, but Dave does this often. How many times have you heard someone call in and say, "Hey, Dave, your mutual funds are way too high of a fee, right? They charge 1.5%. I prefer to do index funds that have like a 0.05% fee." And Dave will say, "No, no, no. Okay, math. That's for you stupid math nerds out there. Those are for people who haven't been investing for 40 years. I've been investing for 40 years," right? He's going the emotional route and telling them that they're dumb or that the math nerds are the ones who don't really have it right. But truthfully, it's math. It is numbers. Right? Math doesn't lie. And so I agree, if someone's emotional and they're taking the math out, then you need to go the math route. That should be the case for every situation. He does this with regard to credit card points. He does it with regard to mutual fund fees. He does it with regard to just about everything. The withdrawal rate of being in retirement, right? It's not about the actual numbers if the numbers don't fit what he's trying to tell you. In that case, it's about the emotion. So I think George didn't mean to, but he admitted right there that their goal isn't necessarily to give you the correct math, right? Their goal is to convince you that what you're doing isn't right. If that's the case, you need to buy Dave's book and you need to pick up their investment plan. So think about that for a second. If you notice something, if you go back and listen to Dave's podcast and to his radio show, he very rarely, if ever, tells you to go out and research something yourself. Read The Simple Path to Wealth. They will tell you mutual funds are terrible, right? You can lose hundreds of thousands of dollars over the course of a lifetime just because you're investing in mutual funds instead of index funds. Dave doesn't seem to believe that because that's math nerds, and he doesn't get paid if he tells you to believe that. If you go back and look at some of the people who are successful in different industries, I mean, you can go on YouTube and find people like Alex Hormozy, Brandon Turner, go off, Cody Sanchez. There's just a ton of people, and almost all of them have done their own due diligence and researched thoroughly whatever they're investing in or whatever they're interested in, whether it's businesses, real estate, or index funds, or retirement planning, whatever it is. Dave never tells you to do that. What Dave will tell you to do is listen to what I tell you. Read my book. But here are the surveys that back up and support what I say, right? Real estate has made the most millionaires out of anyone. I don't think anyone can dispute that, right? So real estate should be a safe way to invest. I completely agree. There is bad debt, for sure, but there is also good debt. There are ways to invest safely with debt, and you should do your own research and not just dive into what Dave says. So I hope that helps, because I get a lot of people who spew this Dave Ramsey stuff at me like it's the only way. If you want to go Dave Ramsey's way, more power to you, but it's not the only way, and realize it's not even the fastest way. Hopefully that helps. I'm tired of having this conversation, so I will be referring to this video the next time somebody talks to me about Dave Ramsey's approach being better than mine.